Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Redmen TV and your live fixture reaction show. I am Dan Club. I'm going to be here for the next half an hour, also having a chat with you guys, and we're going to take a look at the Premier League campaign for the Reds. We're about 5 minutes away from official confirmation. Yeah, it's kind of already out there a little bit, isn't it? But we're not going to pay any attention to that. We're going to wait for it to drop officially for the Premier League and indeed Liverpool Football Club to announce and release the fixtures for the upcoming 25-26 Premier League campaign, where the Reds, of course, will begin the defence of our Premier League crown. How are we? First off, hope we're good. Like I said, we've got a few more minutes before they are announced. Yeah, I think we're all eagerly anticipating. I think when it comes around to sort of the fixture announcement, obviously the first game of the season, sort of the one, isn't it? That's the one you circle. That's the one you all want to know about. And after that, it's your derbies. It's your Manchester United. It's Man City in more recent years. It's probably Arsenal a little bit these days as well. Then you've probably Chelsea. You've probably got a pecking order of who you're looking for, and Boxing Day fixture is always an intriguing one for me, and then of course the run-in. But yeah, I think Nick, a lot of people, and me included, thought and assumed we'd be facing newly promoted opposition, because that's kind of been the case for a while. Certainly the champions seem to always have that on the opening day of the following campaign, but maybe not this time around. There is a storyline or two to who I believe the opening day opponents are, but we'll come to that in due course. Adam, hope you're well, mate. Morning from Brisbane. Yeah, good morning from Liverpool. Hope you are good. I reckon we'll get either Sunderland or Arsenal way up the Reds. We'll see. Time will tell. Chris thinks we're going to get West Ham away on the opening day, just a random fixtures to start the season. They haven't been released yet, Mr. Brino. We are a minute or two away from that. Bruce with the real hard-hitting questions, all the way from Manila, by the way. My favourite breakfast meal. I have a different breakfast every day on purpose. Because I like to mix it up. I really enjoy breakfast as a concept. So I like to change every single day if I can. Bagel, like peanut butter, would probably be my pick. But again, cereal, I have like overnight oats, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, big believer in breakfast. Most important meal of the day, don't you know? Kevin Christian thinks we're going to get Brighton. Jake Sutcliffe, the optimist amongst us, says, doesn't matter as Isak will be starting up top. Yeah, let's hope so. Our Arsenal fans at it already. Not a ball has been kicked yet in pre-season, let alone the actual season, and Arsenal fans are already moaning and probably finding excuses as to why they didn't win the league once again. Massive Plums, I'll let that just linger for a second, says, all right, Dan, wouldn't mind United away early again, get them out the way. It's interesting, isn't it? Because, good afternoon, Storm in a teacup. Because, yeah, the Man United one, I mentioned a moment ago how often I would almost avert my gaze immediately to see where those fixtures are, just because of our historic rivalry. They still are our most archest of rivals. But the pressure and sort of the nervousness around that game still exists, clearly, because, again, it's Manchester United and Liverpool. That will never, ever go away, I don't think. They could be literally, null and void as a football club, starting off life in the third tier, the fourth tier, whatever. They'd still always be, but it's Manchester United against Liverpool. But the fact that they're so shit these days, and we've had such a good time against them, not always, granted, there have been one or two missteps along the way from the Liverpool point of view where we've been far superior, but haven't managed to reflect that in the result. But yeah, that fear factor around going to Old Trafford seems to have gone somewhat now, which is nice, because we're better than them. How many hours till this release? Thankfully, no hours, Bella, because I would not want to be here. As much as I love you all dearly, I don't want to be here for an hour waiting for the fixtures to drop. We are literally moments away, potentially seconds away. I'm going to get Aaron, if you don't mind, to shout me when it comes on the Liverpool website so I can jump on. But yeah, we are literally moments away, not hours away. I'll talk us through the fixtures. Again, we'll look at some of the key talking points. We'll highlight some of the big ones. And then we'll have a 20-minute or so chat. I'll leave. And then later on Plus, the guys will be doing a proper reaction show to take a proper deep dive into what it all means, what Champions League fixtures will do to it, the impact international breaks will have, and all that stuff. Liverpool, I have seen, have just tweeted, so I'm going to refresh the website and see if it's come up yet. Liverpool have tweeted that we will face Bournemouth for our first game of the season. Now, let me just go on the website and see if that's been followed by a post. Keep refreshing. I've just followed the link on Twitter. Is that the easiest way? Let me do that then. Let me jump onto our Twitter. Give me 1 second. Don't care about that. That can go away. Go away. Why is that not going away? Right, here we go. Let me find this. So Bournemouth at home, first game of the season. A reunion, potentially, for a certain Milos Kerkez. I mean, I'm not going to suggest for a single second. Right, I've got it here. Yeah, there it is. Bournemouth away. Bournemouth at home, sorry. I'm not going to suggest for a single second that the fixture generator, the computer, knew we were going to sign Milos Kerkez and therefore purposely give us Bournemouth. But it is something. And there we are. Anyway, in all its glory, August, as you can see there, Friday the 15th, Liverpool begin the new Premier League campaign at home. Friday night footy under the lights at Anfield. 8 o'clock kickoff against Bournemouth. As I mentioned a moment ago, Milos Kerkez potentially facing his former teammate with his new teammate. That's a really good start, I think, for us. I love Friday night footy at Anfield. I really, really do. The last one, I think, was that Norwich game, wasn't it? It was Alisson got injured and we absolutely destroyed them. I think 5-1 off the top of my head was the scoreline on that night. So, yeah, Friday night footy under lights at Anfield. Brilliant way to start the campaign. Brilliant way to begin as champions for me. And then the follows by... I mean, these will all change in terms of days and kickoffs, of course. Well, these will get picked up for TV, left, right and centre. That hasn't been announced yet. But Newcastle United away, Arsenal at home, and then into September, you can see there, Burnley away, Everton at home, and then Crystal Palace, of course. That'll be the second time we face Crystal Palace in relatively quick succession after we've beaten them in the Community Shield. The curtain raiser for the new campaign, of course. What do we think? Jake Sutcliffe, Isaac up top against Newcastle, second game. 4-1 win, says James Stevens, to start the season. The computer generator knew. Ashley Frith says, Jesus, that is not a fun start. It's a tricky start, I think it's fair to say. If you expand it to sort of the opening 6, if you include September in that as well. So you got Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, of course, followed by Burnley away, which... in years gone by, has often felt like a really difficult game for us. Everton at home, obviously Merseyside derby, that's got loads of peril attached to it for obvious reasons. And then Crystal Palace away, who have started the last couple of seasons really slowly and then picked up momentum towards the end. So who knows, that might well be the case again. So it might not quite be as treacherous as we think right now. It is a tough start. Of course it's a tough start, because if you include Newcastle away, you've got your local rivals in there. And of course you're facing... who have been and could well be again the main protagonists to take our title in Arsenal. It's difficult. It absolutely is difficult. Having said that, if you were to handpick opposition, because you're going to have to face them all at some point, twice. Let's have it right. And also, you could flip it on its head, and we'll delve into the fixtures a little bit more in a moment, but you've got to have a difficult run at some point, and I'd rather have it at the start, I think, because... you get some of them out of the way a little bit, and I think further down the line, when you want to be picking up proper points and proper momentum, then you can really capitalise on maybe what looks like a more straightforward run of fixtures. Anyway, I'll keep on scrolling down. We move into October, as you can see there. October's tough. That's a tough old October, it's fair to say. October and November are sort of fragmented by international breaks too. So we go Chelsea away, Man United at home, the first game against them for the new campaign, Brentford away, Aston Villa at home, and Man City away. You can see there's a decent break there. So the international break comes after Chelsea, looking at that. So then in that little gap, in that little run of fixtures, we go United, Brentford, Villa, City, and then another international break, I think I'm right in saying, after the 8th. So those 4 in relatively quick succession, when there'll also be Champions League footy getting played, that's quite tough. I'll give you that. Let's just fast forward to Christmas now. You'll see the fixtures as I scroll down as well. So the chaotic, the hectic Christmas period looks a little bit like, if we start it with Brighton, I think, on the 13th. And then we've got Spurs away on the 20th. No Boxing Day fixture for the Reds. We play Wolves at home on the 27th instead. And then the day before New Year's Eve, we face Leeds United at home. That's amazing. I absolutely love that game. 8 o'clock kickoff under lights at Anfield. Yeah, love that. And then into January, you can see there, Fulham and Arsenal to begin the new year. Then there's reverse fixtures, I should say, begin with Bournemouth away on the 24th. Obviously, there'll be cup fixtures and hopefully Carabao Cup action to squeeze into here too. You can see February on the screen, you can see March on the screen. I'm going to keep scrolling down because we get to the business end of the season, which looks like this. It looks like Fulham at home, Everton away. So a Merseyside derby at the new Everton Stadium, the Hill Dickinson Stadium, in the final 6 fixtures of the season. Interesting. That adds a little bit of jeopardy to the run-in. Hopefully we've got the title boxed by then, much like we did last time around. Crystal Palace at home. Manchester... Oh, you know what I was saying before about Manchester United away not quite being so daunting? Manchester United away, the third from last game of the season. Chelsea at home, and then we've got Aston Villa away, and then we finish the campaign back at home, lifting the trophy once again with Brentford visiting Liverpool. Interesting. Okay, what do we think? I'm pretty sure I've covered most of the sort of the key fixtures along the way there. We'll have a chat about it now. I'm just trying to get my head around that run-in. So really, if you want to condense the run-in even more and just look at May, United away, Chelsea at home, Villa away. Oh, yeah, okay. That's quite tricky, isn't it? Let's be honest, because... you'd feel like they'd all... I mean, that's quite tempting, actually, Sam, to be fair. Win the league at Old Trafford could be mouth-watering. Yeah, absolutely could. I'm getting my fixtures, You Never Walk Alone 986, from Liverpool's website because they've been announced. They are confirmed. They are our fixtures. Doesn't matter when you've got Vert. I hope you're right, my friend. What games does Mo miss through AFCON? That's another good question from L. Corey Wright, actually. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this over the Christmas period. The lads and Chloe will delve into this in a lot more detail later on the Redmen Reacts over on Redmen Plus, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying it's sort of Christmassy time this time around, and maybe into early January. So if we just have another look at what that looks like. Obviously, Spurs away, Wolves at home, which is, like they say, the Boxing Day fixture in inverted commas, but it isn't on the 27th instead. Leeds at home, Fulham and Arsenal away. I mean, you could probably get away, really. If he played the North London games, if he was back either side of those North London games, I would be delighted. Let's put it like that. So if he was here still for Spurs and he was back for Arsenal, that'd do me. Because I think the 3 in between, you could probably just about circumnavigate without the brilliance of Mo Salah as much as I would like that not to be the case. What would be our most challenging month, asks Vince. I think it might actually be May. Let me just scroll back through the entirety of the fixtures again, but I can't. A lot of people are looking at the start of the campaign as being really, really tough. I mean, December, look, just scroll quickly past December there. Looking at December, because it's got 6 league games in it, jumps off the page in terms of difficulty, whilst the actual individual opponents might not be so scary, because we play Leeds twice, with all due respect. Newly promoted Leeds, a lot of people anticipating the 3 that come up will go back down again. Sunderland are in there as well. We've got Wolves and Brighton at home. So again, in terms of individual opponents, maybe not. But when you consider the fact that there's probably European fixtures to come in around there as well, there might be a couple of cup games too, plus 6 games in such a short spell of time, that feels really challenging. Let me just scroll back up to the top. November, Villa, City, Forest, West Ham. I'm okay with that. I've already mentioned the October, but again, international break comes into play. Yeah, the start isn't pleasant, I don't think. Newcastle away, followed by Arsenal at home, but I'm not overly scared of any of that, I must admit. I think we're going to start the season strong. For me, if it is a close run thing and the title race does go down to the wire, which of course I hope it doesn't, I hope the brilliance of Florian Wirtz and the brilliance of Liverpool squad full stop means it's done and dusted by April again, ideally, because I think United away, Chelsea home and Villa away are not comfortable fixtures for me to see in May, mainly because although obviously last season's romp procession to the title took a little bit of the animosity and a little bit of the scared of title races and title run-ins off us all, I think, as Liverpool fans, because we've lived through the Man City head-to-heads in years gone by. I still fear the fact that what if it goes to sort of May? What if it goes to the final day? And again, United away, Chelsea home, Villa away. Oh, Not pretty. Hopefully get the season wrapped up by then, says El Curryvite once again. Dan, Arsenal will fear their early fixtures more than us yet. I will have a quick look at everybody else's fixtures in a moment. But I think from our point of view, like I say, we spoke about May, we spoke about the double United. We've got the Merseyside derby away from home in mid-April. We've touched upon that. I think we've covered all the major key bases. That City game at home, early February, completely comfortable. That feels like in our wheelhouse often, to be honest with you. That often feels like it's the case. Newly promoted sides, we've touched upon them as well. I think from our perspective, I think we're quite happy and comfortable, really, with what we've got coming up. Let me just run back to the start once again to make sure I haven't missed anything. And again, Bournemouth at home, under the lights, Friday night footy. What a way to start the season, followed by St James's Park, trip to Newcastle. Absolutely nailed on. Going to be a Sunday afternoon kickoff. There's no way that's staying at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Likewise, Arsenal at home. Third game of the season at Anfield. That's actually an opportunity, I see that as. Really do. Both of them, Newcastle and Arsenal included. I think the Bournemouth game will be a test because they're a very good side. They'll have lost 1, 2, possibly even more of their key players. It'd be interesting to see how they replace them over the course of the summer. But it will still be a challenge because they're a very good side. I really like Andoni Iraola. But I think Newcastle away and Arsenal at home are a chance to send an early message for us and be like, you see how good we were last season? Well, we've added X, Y, Z player, hopefully even more letters. Look how brilliant we are this time around. Like, we are going to take some serious stopping. Because I think there's two ways of looking at that start. There's the side where you go, fuck me, that looks really, really tricky. But there's also the way you go, well, but we're boss. Watch what we can do. We go 9 points out of 9 in August. I think that sends such a clear statement of intent. We're doing it in the transfer market. Now we've got a chance to do it on the pitch. That says to Arsenal, literally in the Mikel Arteta's face, when we beat them and go 3 points clear, whatever it may be by that point, that we're not fucking messing around. And it says to Man City as well, you think you had aspirations of coming back again. Not a chance, mate. We're the real deal. We're the business. We're going to run away with this. Followed by a September, it looks like Burnley away, Everton at home, Crystal Palace. All of a sudden, if you've managed to do what I've just said, you could be, what's that? 5, hopefully 6 wins out of 6, and everybody around just going, I'm not sure we can keep pace with Liverpool again. Simple as that. So that's the way I would look at those fixtures anyway. When do we get our Champions League matches? That's a little while away yet, because there's still like qualifying going on for Champions League and all sorts. I don't think we'll be getting any news. Toplands Box and Man United will be relegated. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. That would be nice. City have the easiest opening of all the sides. Shock. Don't bring this up on screen, Aaron, but I will quickly run through Arsenal and City's starts. I've got them in documents, which I'm not willing to share with you all. Arsenal's first 6. They start with Man United away. And again, I come back to my earlier point that Arsenal are shit. But still, anytime us, Arsenal, City, Chelsea to a certain extent play United, you can't help but look at that and go, yeah, because the historic rivalry and the fact that it's such a big deal. Arsenal will still be deciding what striker on, quite possibly. Quite possibly. That's also true, but I would much rather look at the glass half full perspective. And I think Arne Slot will be like that as well. And he'll be looking at the start of the season as, fucking watch what we can do. You know, like that positive, chest out, we're the champions, we're going to show you why we're the champions, and we're going to show you why we're here to defend this title, attack the title, you know what I mean? And I think that fixture list gives us opportunity to do that. You could ease your way in with a couple of newly promoted sides, Bournemouth at home, Nottingham Forest, whoever. You could ease your way in like that and get up a decent head of steam and pick up some points along the way, and then all of a sudden you are facing Chelsea, United, City, Arsenal back-to-back, Newcastle away. I would much rather go the other way and start really, really strong against really, really good opponents and just send messages and send shockwaves a little bit throughout the rest of the league and certainly to your nearest rivals that we are the force to be reckoned with once again. Anyway, as I was saying, Arsenal's first 6, United away, Leeds at home, us, obviously, Nottingham Forest at home, City at home, and Newcastle away. You can probably tell by the grimace on my face and in my voice a little bit there that other than Leeds at home, I wouldn't want, if I was Arsenal, I can see why they're complaining. I mean, they complain regardless, to be fair, but that isn't pretty. And I'm a big believer, card on the table, if you play everyone twice and kind of what will be when it comes to fixtures. Having said that, although the Forest and City game back-to-back are both at home, which is something, that's a minor positive you can take from it, that's still really, really tough. Really, really tough for Arsenal. And then you follow that by Newcastle away as well, having come to us prior to it. They could be some points off the pace already following them, genuinely. Like, that Leeds, in a way, United away and Leeds at home. Leeds at home they will look at as 3 points nailed on home banker. But they've got to pick up 6 points from 6 out of them, because you can't take anything for granted when it comes to, like, say, us, Forest, City and Newcastle. You've got 4 properly difficult fixtures after that from an Arsenal point of view. So yeah, that's good. We're looking at our own fixtures and wondering what might be. Arsenal will be doing that tenfold, looking at their first 6. And their Man City's first 6 looks like Wolves away, Spurs, who've been their bogey team down the years, Brighton away, not easy, United obviously, which is a Manchester derby, Arsenal away, of course, and then Burnley at home. So kind of bookended by 2 relatively comfortable fixtures, I think it's fair to say, for City, although Wolves have often proved a bit of a banana skin for them. But yeah, in the middle, Spurs, Brighton, United and Arsenal, tough, really. And City, it's going to be fascinating to see how, they'll be in League One, it won't matter. Hopefully, let's hope that point deduction does arrive at some point. But it'd be fascinating to see how City start the season. Will they start hot and will they start ready because of this Club World Cup, because they'll have had a break after it, or will at some point, will they start slowly because they took a toll on them being out in America and going as far as however far they go in it, or will they tail off towards the end? At some point, I think City's season, and Chelsea fall into this bracket as well, certainly if they do go deep into the competition, at some point, this is Stuart put it brilliantly here, at some point their season will wobble in a big way, I imagine. Chelsea probably, arguably, got the squad to cope with it better just because of sheer weight of numbers. The sheer amount of players they own means that they probably can be a bit clever with how they use their players at their disposal. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Really interesting. I'm happy though. I'm absolutely really happy with our start. The running is potentially slightly more tricky. I think where the fixtures fall in terms of Merseyside derbies and the Manchester United games and the City games and the Arsenal games, there's nothing really that phases me, I must admit. There really isn't. Lee Guy says, morning Dan, I'm not worried about United away, we'll slap them. Again, I come back to my point right at the top. Like, United away is no longer a major concern of mine. But every time that fixture comes around for sort of the 2 or 3 days preceding it, I'll be like, fuck, it's Man United. Same with Everton, exactly the same. You can look at how shit they are and you can laugh at them all you like all season long, but that all gets forgotten about like 48 hours before kick-off and you go, yeah, but what if? It's that fear, that inbuilt fear that we've all had since we were children, and it will never ever leave us. Just the way it is. What's the top 4 finish? Do you mean, how do I think the top 4 will finish? Because that is early. Like, hardly any business. We've done more business than anyone. So that is an early question to be asking. Token X gives you this though, so have that. Our December fixture, but yeah, I think on an individual basis, in terms of the run of fixtures who we're playing, I think they are quite favourable, but it's just the sheer volume of them, because there's loads of them. Vince asked, do you think Slot would play academy players during pre-season, or would you reckon he'd try and recognise on new sign? Both, I think. Massive combination of both, to be honest with you. I think they'll take a handful of academy lads, I think like Trey Naoni, possibly Jayden Dan, James McConnell, Marvin Allo might well travel as well. I'd be interested to see if Ryan Gamoa makes a trip over to Asia, because Liverpool clearly think very highly of him. We had that look in against Accrington Stanley. He's still very young, of course, but I think Liverpool will be very, very tempted to take him away because he is exciting, very exciting. And speaking of exciting, Liverpool's fixtures are announced. I think it's good. I think we're good. When do you think we will be in top form? That's a good question. That's a question I like. Let me jump back into the fixtures, and we can all have a look at them as I do. So we start with Bournemouth, as mentioned. I fucking love the fact it's Friday night, you know. How do we feel about Friday night footy? Are we all okay with it? I honestly am delighted. I mentioned that Norwich game that I mentioned earlier on, and it's just boss. Like, starting the season for everyone else. Literally, you're 3 points clear of the rest, and you've got a goal difference of +3, off the top of my head. And that is your stall set out. You're literally telling the rest of the league, come and catch us from night 1 of Premier League action. We could feasibly be top of the league and never leave that position. It's a long shot, I'll grant you, but it's possible because we start before everyone else. And it doesn't have the same trepidation around it as like a 12:30 kickoff in the middle of the season for me, which obviously we know Jurgen Klopp fucking despised. But Friday night just feels like a whole different ball game. It feels like the ideal way to start. The curtain raiser for the Premier League, literally, post-Community Shield. Hopefully we're still basking in whatever glory we all take from winning that big 50p. But honestly, I'm delighted. It's the Sunday prior, actually. I think it's a Sunday. August 10th. Yeah. So it's not a huge turnaround. We are straight into the thick of it, it's fair to say, playing Friday night following that. But still, if you're going to win August, if you're going to win 21 titles, you're going to have to go through a little bit of pain. And I think we'll be fine. I will City away first, a positive. So still, yeah, it's a good point as well. Really good point. Bringing them back to Anfield for the second time, I think that's a mini positive, personally. Again, I don't read loads into that sort of thing, to be honest. But yeah, if you are going to say positives from how the fixtures have fallen and how they look, I think that is definitely one to take. Anyway, I was asked what's the toughest month's going to be. Let me just have a quick look through. I wasn't. I was asked when we'll be in our top form, wasn't I? That's what I was asked. It won't be early doors. Nobody ever is. I think Liverpool will hit our stride. So that international break in November, we come back to face. Do you know what? I'm going to say, and it might be the perfect time with which to do it. And it's probably a little bit later than we did this time around, maybe. I think following that international break there, so we've done City away. I think when we come back and we face Forest, West Ham, and then we go into that chaotic December, I think that'll be where we're at our best. We'll have to utilise the squad probably more than we've done previously. I think Arne Slot might have took some learnings from this campaign on that, because we did fall away towards the end, and he'll have more players that he trusts, I think, in the squad this time. He literally used a core of like 13 to win the league, which was boss. I think he might have to extend that a little bit to 15, 16 if we're going to go deeper in the Champions League, if we're going to have some legs and some steam left for the Carabao Cup final, and of course the FA Cup as well. I think he will need to use some more lads. But in terms of where we're at our best and where we're peaking, if you like, I think Liverpool will want to peak around late November into December, just because of the and also because the fixtures are quite kind, in inverted commas, during that point. Because it's so thick and fast, and because it's so relentless, you can actually move clear and maybe clearer of the pack, because whilst you're playing every 3 days, more or less, they're winnable games all the time. So you can be picking up a lot of points through November and December. So that's when I'd like Liverpool to peak and be at our absolute maximum. And that's when I think we could well sort of gear the season towards that as well. Interestingly enough, I'll be having a chat later on this week with a couple of coaches, one of whom you'll know very well. And a lot of the chat is going to be about sort of planning pre-season, but also planning a season. And I want to get into sort of how football clubs now and in years gone by have looked at fixtures and how they want to peak and where they want to be at their absolute maximum. So it'd be interesting to see from and hear from somebody who's been very much at the coalface of it, how that looks. Can you please post the fixtures as we discussed them? I kind of have been. I'm just sort of coming back into from the website a little bit. It's hard to sort of keep track of what you're discussing and then bring it up on screen. That's impossible. Otherwise, Quad Bod, 21st December to 18th of Jan for AFCON. It's bad of me to say this, but I hope Egypt don't. I mean, I fucking love Mo Salah, and I love nothing more than to have some more glory. And I'm absolutely certain he's desperate to win AFCON with Egypt. So part of me wants that for him, but at the same time, that's a long, long spell away, isn't it? 21st December, so that means he might just play that Spurs game. If that got moved, it's not likely, is it? I'm fucking chatting shit. He's probably going to miss Spurs away in that case. It depends when Egypt's campaign starts officially, it's fair to say. But if he has to go on the 20th or the 21st, he's probably going to miss Spurs away. And then to the 18th of January, that takes us through that game. Obviously, Wolves, Leeds, Fulham, Arsenal away, wonderful. Burnley at home. And then 18th, wasn't it? So he might just get back for Bournemouth away. So it'd be they'd be the games he'd miss, something like that. Finishing Burnley. That's if Egypt reach the final, indeed the latter stages of the competition, obviously. Missing Arsenal away is not that. The North London games are the two. I said it earlier on. If there's a way we could keep him for Spurs away and get him back in time for Arsenal away, I'd bite your hand off for that now. Genuinely, from a very selfish, from a very Liverpool-centric point of view, I just would. I absolutely would. Wondering what he says. Mo misses Arsenal away due to AFCON. If Egypt got knocked out of the group stages, pains me to say it, because again, I'll come back to my point earlier on. You never look at Egypt having an Egypt group. Wonderful. He's won trophies for us. Let him win trophies, read you. Yeah. Egypt's first game is 22nd versus Zimbabwe. Stuart Wisby with the... So maybe Spurs away becomes a possibility. It doesn't. Absolutely. Unless that got moved to a Friday in advance, maybe then. But it's a long shot. That won't be happening. He's not playing Spurs away. Done. And you know what? It's interesting because it has to play into the thinking of Liverpool. I know previously we kind of made do a little bit. Obviously, we had Shaqiri at the football club for a while. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I remember doing a job out on that right wing. We scored against Brentford, I think, whilst Mo was away. So there is ways, and the signing of Wirtz might allow us to do something with him over there. Obviously, Szoboszlai's done it in the past as well. Luis Diaz has gone across, Diogo Jota. So there are options. None of them are perfect, I think it's fair to say. But yeah, I think if Chiesa goes, like I kind of anticipate he will do, that's another option that goes out the door. Maybe we do need to look at bringing in some reinforcements to come play over there. Frimpong on the wing is a great shout, token X, and that is 100% something I'm certain we'll see this season. And yeah, Bradley obviously will just play as a right back then. So yeah, maybe that's the answer that we're looking for. But I still wonder if Chiesa does indeed go, will we look at one of the young lads like Ben Dokes, Lewis Kumas, Jadon Danns mentioned? Do they become sort of the sixth forward, the sixth attacking option? Possibly. Bio and Gamama might be in that conversation as well. But yeah, Anyway, wonderful. I'll start to wrap up because I think we're pretty much done here. I'm quite happy. How are you feeling? Going to win the league again. That's what I'm feeling. It's in Kenya this time, only 2 hours ahead and an 8-hour flight. Stuart Wisby is clinging on to the fact that Mo Salah might be available for Spurs away. I'll be honest, I don't think that's going to happen. Jadon Danns will rise, says Crossbod. Hopefully, I'm a big admirer of his, clearly. But just too many injuries at this point for me. If he'd have finished the season at Sunderland like he was supposed to, and if he'd have scored goals for Sunderland like he would have done, then I'd be absolutely on board with that. I just think he needs to go and play football at this point. One of the other reasons is why we need another great goal scorer apart from Salah. Even if we take Osimhen, he would also go for it. Well, that's the other consideration when it comes to the market, isn't it? I mean, Brian Mbeumo was forever linked with Liverpool, but I think the fact that he would often be away at AFCON maybe was a detrimental reason as to why we never went and got him. I'm not sure. But yeah, if we are going to go out and sign a striker, another attacker, do you want one that goes away to AFCON as well? Possibly. We obviously had it with Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, so it's not impossible. You can make that happen when it comes to your squad and how your squad looks. But yeah, I would be all for signing a striker, full stop. But ideally one that can stick around for the entire season as well. Yeah, it's just nice. Any news on Pochettino's surgery? Will he be back for pre-season? It's going to be touch and go, I think. It'd be interesting to see if he's named in the travelling squad for Asia. I'll be honest, I don't think he will, which is a massive shame. I hope he is. I hope he's ready. I hope his rehab goes smoothly. And I hope he is available for that trip because I think Liverpool want to take a look at him. I certainly want to take a look at him. Massive plum says Frimpong can play right wing, so can Gordon. Tapping into the old Anthony Gordon rumour mill again, are we? Interesting. Finally, You Never Walk Alone, 986 says, how many trophies are we bringing home? Do we really change our opinion based on what Liverpool are capable of this season once we've seen the fixtures? Because I don't. I'll be honest. I just look at the fixtures like, okay, there are clearly interesting little wrinkles along the way. We've spoke a lot about sort of when the games fall in terms of the opposition and the running and the start and all that sort of stuff. So there is talking points and conversation pieces around it. But I just look at how strong we were last season and what we're doing in the transfer market and more importantly, what our rivals are doing and say, we're better than the rest. And we're going to go into the season better than the rest and even stronger than we were before. Therefore, why not go and win the league again? Why not go win the Champions League? Why not go win the Carabao Cup? And why not do something special in the FA Cup as well? Especially if we sign this fella. Sound, that'll do for me. Thank you very much for joining me. Massively appreciated. As I mentioned earlier on, before I go anywhere, I've just got to deal with this. Do I think Isak's actually on? I don't think so, no. I'd love it to be. I'd absolutely love it to be. And I think if we do enough business in terms of outgoings, potentially, but as it stands right now, with an outlay of 116 million on Flavian Wirtz, 45 in the round coming from Milos Kerkez, obviously the 35 million expenditure already on Frimpong. Listen, if Liverpool's war chest extends to doing Alexander Isak or Julian Alvarez, I'm not picky, then sound, fill your boots, happy days. Then I will come on here and say anything's possible for the season. However, we've got to go and get a striker for me. But I think if we are going to go out and do an Isak or an Alvarez level of deal, we're going to have to sell. We're going to sell a few lads anyway, including Darwin Núñez. But we're going to have to sell 5 or 6 quite quickly, I would imagine. Not just because of the finances, but because of PSR. Like, whilst we've got loads of headroom in that department right now, because we've been so frugal in recent years, all of a sudden you're spending nigh on 350 million quid in the blink of an eye, and that isn't really feasible for any football club in world football, unless you're PSG or Man City. Josh Owen says, if we win the quad, who do you face in the Charity Shield? It'll be the runners-up, won't it? Premier League runners-up? Yeah, Premier League runners-up. So probably Arsenal, to be honest. Sound, that'll do. Thank you very much again for joining me. There's loads more to come on Redmen TV today and beyond, of course. We've got the fixture react show where the guys will be taking a proper delve into how the fixtures look for us, City and Arsenal. They'll take a look at Champions League football and when that falls and when international breaks come into it and all the rest of it. This was just a precursor, your starter to all of that good stuff. That'll be on Redmen Plus. We've got journo shows coming up this week. We've got transfer shows coming up this week as well. Honestly, we are covering you from every possible angle when it comes to Liverpool all summer long. Transfers, etc. will be there. Don't worry about it. Thanks for joining me again. Massively appreciated. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.